Duplexes don't have many expenses. Duplexes governed by the two-lot regulation do not need to maintain a bank account. In TrackSafe we can deal with that by using a virtual bank account. Set your virtual bank account up as follows. Enter the name virtual into the alias, the bank and the account name. Enter a BSB of all zeros, an account number of 0, and enter the opening balance as $0 as well. Set the entry date for the opening balance to a date which is prior to any expenses that you are going to make into the system. Create the account. Now we have a bank account. Go back to the dashboard and let's look at entering some expenses. Let's create an insurance premium. Enter the amount of the premium in the total field. Set the date to be the date that the expense for the premium is due to be paid. In the expense allocation to lot, leave it at split to split the expense 50-50 between the duplexes. The bank account should be showing as virtual. You should then be able to create this expense. The expense has been created. Now if you go back and look at the contribution statements, you can see that each lot, here showing lot 1, has been allocated a contribution instalment for half the total amount of the expense. It shows the due date, which is the date we said the expense was due to be paid. You can now press this button here and the contribution statements will be sent to all of the lot owners of the duplex. Let's suppose that Unit 1 has now paid their portion of the expense. Let's say they paid that amount today. That payment is now recorded and is showing against their lot ledger that they've got this payment in place. Because the contribution statement expense is not yet due until the end of the month, it doesn't yet show the expense up against the lot ledger. Once the end of the month comes, this entry here will transfer into this table here and the balance owing for that lot owner will be 0. If we look at Reconcile Bank Account page, we can see that the amount that was paid against lot 1 is now showing up as a payment on the virtual bank. Further down you can see that the expense that is due against the virtual bank account for the insurance premium is also showing. Here you can see where both lot owners have now paid their halves of the expense for the insurance premium, representing a positive cash at bank in our virtual account. We can now enter a date when we know payment was approximately received by the insurer, which will then enable the transaction to also appear on our bank statement up here. Let's do that by setting the date, say, to the 20th, updating and looking again at our reconciliation, and lo and behold, now we see that our virtual bank is showing a 0 balance, which is where it should be most of the time when you're operating under the two-lot regulation.